If you don't happen to know, a game engine is like a tool you can use to make a game. And game engines come in all different shapes and sizes and whatnot. You can have something so small that you only need code to make a game work, or you can have something so big and bloated that you need like 15 gigabytes just to get it to run. They vary a lot, and it's normal. Now, there's a couple popular game engines like Unreal, Unity, Godot, those are the big three game makers. A little up there too. It's been in the mix for a while, so it's dying down, but it's still there. And I think there's a game engine that a lot of people don't really look at a lot. It's one that I think is really underrated, and I've been using it recently, and I've liked it. And this game engine is called Default. Default is a free and open source game engine for anyone to use to make 2D or basic 3D games. It supports a variety of platforms, including your mobile phone, your Nintendo Switch, your computer, and possibly your smart toaster if you have one. Default uses a couple of core concepts. Files are a big part of Default. Default uses files as like a way you can add things to a project if you wish to, and everything on the left is a file. You use files, and the difference between it and something like Unity is that Default is mainly files, while Unity is based a lot more on the game objects. But in Default there are game objects too, but the way they work is more similar to Godot, where everything is a node. But Godot, everything is a node. In Default, everything is a game object, and then game objects can have components which act like nodes for the game object. And then everything in the game object is in a collection. Collections can vary too. Some pros of Default are it's quite a small learning curve compared to other engines because there are built-in tutorials built into the engine. Because that's just good. I've never had an issue with it work on its own. Like, it's just stable. Out of the box, you can make anything you want with it, pretty much. It's pretty great. Another thing is that it has a very polished 2D side. It's very easy to work with, and you don't really need to do anything to get it set up. You just go make a new project, make the project, go back into the 2D, and then boom, you have a project. It's that simple. Another thing mentioned before is that it has many platforms to export to, in case you're one of those people who unless you're one of those people who need a lot of exports, like to your Switch, to your TV, to your whatever, it's there for you if you need it. Another thing is Lua. It uses Lua as its script, and it's very easy to get started with. It's very simple, very easy to use. And another thing, as mentioned earlier, is that it's free and open source, so you can literally just yoink the code onto your machine, edit it to your pleasing, and submit it back or use it personally. It doesn't matter. And the last thing I want to mention is there's an asset store where you can get a bunch of different assets for your Default games. I think there's like 200 of them right now. And while Default has pretty much everything you'll need, there are a couple things that you might need from the asset store, like, I don't know, Hakes support? I don't know, just, there's a bunch of different things, and it's very extendable too as an engine. Now, some cons is that it has a lacking 3D environment. I haven't tested with it personally, but from what I've heard, it's not very developed or polished. It's there, but it's not great, and there are better options for 3D if you want to go the 3D route. There's not many tutorials that are not official, so if you're looking for a tutorial on, like, let's say, making an inventory, you're either gonna have to brute force and make it yourself, or you're gonna have to not make an inventory. I don't know if there is an inventory tutorial, but that was just the first thing that came to mind. Anyways, the last thing about cons I can think of is that some crucial parts of development are either community-made assets or hard to make on your own. So, for example, when it comes to Default, the camera is kind of finicky whenever you work with it, and I've done some reading on my own, and it's hard to move the camera without use of a plugin, so you have to get the plugin to get the camera to move places. And especially for this, it's really annoying because you have to use unofficial assets, so you don't know if it's going to work. And another thing is that you have to get an external asset for random numbers. It's a little annoying, because I think that the engine would have that built in, but it doesn't. So, should you try it? I say yes, if you plan on primarily working in 2D, so you're not going to do much 3D, or any at all. You're okay with a little experimentation, because like I said, there's not many tutorials for it. If you do want to start working with it, you gotta be okay with experimenting with it a bit. And you're willing to put in a few hours to learn the engine on your own. Well, obviously this is for any engine, really, but you gotta be able to put in the time, the effort, and everything you want to devote yourself to learning the engine. So, with that said, I recommend giving Default a try. If it's not for you, it's not for you. You don't have to use it. I'm not forcing you to use it. I'm just saying I think it's underrated because it's a good game engine. It's stable. It's not very fat, unlike Unity, and unlike engines such as Unity, you don't need to learn every little feature, and you're learning something new every day. You can learn the engine, learn how to use it in a matter of hours, and then you can learn about other stuff later on. But you won't be learning a whole lot over time, which is nice because you can just sit down for a few hours and learn everything you'll need to know about the engine. So yeah, that's it for this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you try it, and tell me what you thought of it. And share this with people that you might think would like to try Default. You know, some people that are looking into game development but don't know where to start. You can give them a recommendation to Default. And you know, maybe they'll try it. If they hate it, they hate it. If they love it, they love it. Not my problem. Anyways, goodbye.